It's a good idea sometimes to venture off the main quest and do your own thing. Whether they're competitive fetch quests or secret areas, there may be something new to experience in each of these locations. What we often forget about these areas is the fact that they may have some new enemies that are incredibly difficult to defeat. The boss you may encounter in this area may be optional, but believe us, he has no other option but to destroy you. We've compiled a list of 10 optional video game bosses that are impossible to defeat. Before we begin, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with all our awesome videos, and click that bell to become part of our notification squad. Number 1. Flemeth, Dragon Age Origins. The Dragon Age games have consistently included two things in their games: a ton of quests to complete, and plenty of beautiful but deadly dragons to encounter. Flemeth provides both of these to the surprise of many, because she seems like a nice old lady. She encourages you to take her daughter Mara with your party to cure the blight. But things take a weird turn once you realize Flemeth is just using her daughter as a vessel for her soul once her body grows too old. Last time we checked, your kids weren't supposed to be used as spare parts. When you confront Flemeth, you are given the choice to either let her go in exchange for a grimoire, which sounds like a genre of film no one watches, or to fight her. If you choose to fight Flemeth, she turns into a massive dragon, capable of defeating your party members in one shot. Not only does Flemeth have incredible strength, but she also possesses extremely high resistance to both magic and damage. The main problem with this boss fight is that you encounter Flemeth so early in the game, you will be severely underleveled for the fight, meaning she will toast your entire army of weaklings in a matter of seconds, if you are not prepared. Number 2. Baron K. Roolenstein, Donkey Kong 3. Donkey Kong 3 was an incredible platformer, even though it was slightly worse than Donkey Kong 2, Diddy Kong's Quest. It walked the line between challenging and fun throughout the entire game, but that doesn't mean the entire game was smooth sailing. One boss in particular stands out as being a nuisance in every sense of the word. If you manage to collect all of the cogs in Krematoa and give them to King K. Rool, now calling himself Baron K. Roolenstein in this version, he will appear in his submarine, known as the Nautilus. First of all, if you're known as King K. Rool, why would you ever change it to Baron K. Roolenstein? Second of all, why does every evil villain have a submarine for some reason? Rare, we need some answers. Battling Baron K. Roolenstein requires perfect timing and incredible skill, but for many players the boss fight is quick. There are so many electric theme objects flying around, and even the floor is moving, so it's very easy to become Kong-paced. The fight is incredibly difficult compared to all the others you have encountered throughout the main quest. It's a huge difficulty spike, which could really take an unsuspecting player by surprise. Number 3. Adamantoise, Final Fantasy 15. Known as the Living Mountain, Adamantoise is one of the most tedious and long bosses in video game history. Seriously, it's that bad. When you finish Final Fantasy 15, you are given an optional hunt to go on. It turns out it's not much of a hunt because you are literally fighting a mountain, hence the nickname. The second you go near the mountain, it grows legs. You know, like every mountain you see in the world. Once it starts moving around, it starts to resemble a tortoise. Think Torterra from Pokemon, but much more menacing because it's carrying an entire mountain on its back and not a puny tree. This boss has taken even some of the best Final Fantasy 15 players 2 hours to defeat. It's absolutely ridiculous. The fight isn't difficult at all. Adamantoise doesn't really hurt you. He doesn't really have any devastating special moves, but your party is completely useless against it. All you do is constantly phase strike the beast until it's dead. Sometimes it even glitches and sends you flying out of the area, canceling out the hunt and giving you 0 XP in the process. Talk about a waste of precious time. Number 4. The Reaper, Persona 4 Golden. The Persona franchise is very hard to explain. It's very Japanese to say the least. The game is really good, and it makes you feel just as good when you play it, which is why it has become so popular. The characters are awesome, the combat is a great change of pace, and the RPG elements of the game are second to none. It's a very polished game. However, if you are obsessed with exploring the world, you may experience a quick and relatively painful death. While you're going through some mental dungeons trying to find every treasure in there, something strange may happen. You might hear the sound of chains. Despite being in a TV dream world where nothing makes sense, the sound is still completely out of place. By opening 21 chests, you unleash something terrible. When you approach the 22nd chest, you are told an incredibly terrifying presence is in the box. If you open it up, you'll find the Grim Reaper of Persona 4. The Harvester of Souls and Punisher of the Greedy will completely and utterly destroy you. In the original Persona 4, you were only able to fight him in a second playthrough. But in Golden, he was available from the get-go. They should have passed that off as an added feature. Number 5. Reptile, Mortal Kombat. Sometimes, people seek out pain. From boxing to simply getting a tattoo, there are so many different levels of pain we tolerate to do things we love. Sometimes it's hard to understand why people do it, but even gamers enjoy some self-annihilation every once in a while. I mean, just look at all these bosses we are subjecting ourselves to, and Reptile is no exception. The journey to get to this fight is ridiculous enough, as you have to get through 2 flawless victories without blocking and end the fight by performing a fatality. While this is insanely difficult, it's not all you need to do. You also need to be playing on the pit stage when a UFO flies past the moon, which only happens once every 6 rounds. If you mess up on the round, you have to wait another 6 rounds until you're given another chance. Just why? Anyway, assuming you've done all that, your reward for all your tiresome work is to challenge Reptile. This fight is incredibly difficult. It's as if Reptile is Conor McGregor in the octagon with an unborn child. You don't stand a chance unless you practice. But who wants to go through all that work to challenge him again if you mess up? Yeah, it's probably not worth it. Number 6. Dullahan, Golden Sun, The Lost Age. An extremely difficult boss for an extremely awesome game. Dullahan is probably the definition of a super boss. What sets Dullahan apart from other bosses in this RPG is that he completes 4 actions per turn instead of the usual 1 or 2. That is absolutely unheard of in this game, and will definitely catch you by surprise. This headless suit of armor guards the summoning tower, which lets you use the Iris summon. It's a very good summon worth getting, but this beast is standing in the way of making that a possibility. Dullahan has the highest stat bar out of every enemy in the game, and can restore his health after each turn. You better hope you give him more damage than he restores, or else you won't stand a chance. To be honest, it's incredibly unfair. He's so difficult if you play the game on hard mode. His stats don't even get buffed the usual 1.5 times, because he's already so powerful. In fact, the game literally can't raise his stats any higher. He is indeed the toughest boss you will ever face in the game. So be ready to spend hours trying to conquer this colossus. Number 7. Sephiroth, Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is a very charming game. Of course, it's a little weird to see Mickey Mouse take down a slew of enemies with a keyblade, but it just adds to the experience. It's also pretty awesome too. The difficulty is also very appropriate, because as you progress through the game, it becomes more difficult at a steady pace, which seems obvious, but surprisingly, many AAA titles don't get progressively difficult. That being said, there is a huge spike in difficulty once you encounter the one-winged angel known as Sephiroth. Yeah, the same antagonist from Final Fantasy. This silver-haired beast is a true challenge to even the most skilled Kingdom Hearts player. He attacks so quickly and either has stronger defense or more health than any boss you've encountered in the game thus far. He can teleport past Ultimo, which is the bane of many bosses, and also has a move to take you down to 1 HP and 0 MP. Everything you knew about previous boss fights no longer applies. Your attacks have to be perfectly timed, and you have to have the patience of a saint to make sure the opportunity is right to strike. Number 8. Cthulhu, Pre-patch, World of Warcraft. Cthulhu was so difficult that developers had to tone down his attributes, just so he could become beatable. That fact alone makes this boss worthy of the list. Cthulhu is an insanely difficult boss who has witnessed the deaths of hundreds of thousands of World of Warcraft players, with his giant eye and his tentacles, of course. There's not really much to say about this monstrosity, other than the fact that if you would have encountered him before the patch, you would have had less of a chance of beating him than winning the lottery and getting hit by lightning on the same day. Mathematically, I'm sure the odds are pretty similar. The reason why Cthulhu is so impossible to beat is because the damage per second requirements to kill both the tentacles before they wiped the raid and actually do real damage to him, combined with the mana limitations of the time, made it impossible. That's not to mention the numerous bugs that could occur during the boss fight as well, such as tentacles spawning in Cthulhu's stomach. Luckily, the problems have since been fixed, so you can now take on Cthulhu and live to tell the tale. Number 9. Kangaxx, Baldur's Gate 2. Baldur's Gate 2 is one of the better point-and-click games to ever be released, but there was one boss which gave gamers shivers just from hearing the name. Kangaxx is a Demolic, who is only able to be fought once you collect all his body parts scattered around the city of Athkatla, and is easily the toughest boss you will encounter in Baldur's Gate 2. Actually, he may be one of the toughest bosses you will ever encounter in your life. Once you put the last piece in place, all hell is unleashed on you. Kangaxx has incredible health regeneration and very high defenses, so he is not someone to be trifled with. Once he switches to his second form, he becomes pretty much invulnerable to all physical attacks. In fact, the only way to inflict damage on Kangaxx is by using a weapon with +4 enhancement or higher, which are not very common at this point in the game. You might have one or two of these weapons, which will not get the job done. This has resulted in plenty of parties getting absolutely demolished by this monstrosity's ridiculous offense. They say a good defense is a good offense, but when you have both, you're downright unbeatable. Number 10. The Black Rabite, Seiken Densetsu 3. Just looking at it, you would think this Black Rabite would be a pushover. Come on, it's absolutely adorable. The bunny looks so fragile you could probably defeat it by accidentally stepping on it. Considering the bosses you battled leading up to this one, there's no way this cute little thing could be a difficult boss, right? Well, you've made a terrible mistake. This black bunny means business. It will decimate your party with strong attacks and magic. You're probably thinking to yourself, that sounds like every boss I've battled. But we're not finished yet. If that doesn't scare you, this Rabite can also summon demons at level 99. Anything with level 99 and it becomes immediately more intimidating. Truth. Seriously, who would have thought this little thing could conjure beasts unlike any you've ever seen before? The Black Rabite can also turn your weapons into dark ones that heal him. It's a cruel joke, really. To top it all off, the reward for your hard work is absolutely nothing. I guess the reward is internal because now you have increased confidence and a better sense of self-worth. Just slap that on your resume and you're good to go. Have you beaten any of these bosses? Let us know of any other optional game bosses that are impossible to beat in the comments below. Also, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button to keep up to date with our awesome playlist. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time on The Gamer.